All right, let's have a look at some of the dailies this morning. We're kicking off on an economic note with the Guardian newspaper this morning. Naira nears 1,000 naira to the dollar as CBN policies stress test banks unlock liquidity. Well, that is a big lead on the front page of the Guardian here today. So, focusing on some of the developments within that sector. Well, Vanguard newspaper follows a similar narrative. Woes for forex dealers as CBN cuts BDC rates to 1,117.5 naira to the dollar. That is their own big lead on the front page here, but they've got a couple of riders, which the first reads, bans foreign denominated collateral for Naira loans. Analysts attribute Naira appreciation to CBN policies. Incentive for forex malpractice eliminated. Ascribed to ABCON, that's ABCON. So Vanguard following through with that one on an economic note there this morning. So, but have a look at Daily Independence. Also on an economic front, the lead story reads, Nigerian banks' loans environment still toxic, analysts lament. And the rider, the first of which I read, CBN bans use of foreign currency denominated collateral for Naira loans, similar to the one that you also read previously, approves daily sales of $10,000 to 1,588 BDC operators. So that's what you have on the front page of Daily Independent, speaking economically. Oh yeah, but look at Business Day. They also following through on an economic note. Dollars pour into Nigeria at fastest clip in 5 years. So probably something to share. But the Nigerian Observer also on an economic front. CBN bans foreign currency denominated collaterals for Naira loans. So much going on the economic front, which you see there. And then on to politics. Well, Daily Trust leads with what played out in Edo State yesterday. Shaibu becomes 17th impeached deputy governor since 1999. Lawyers divided over constitutional leeway for lawmakers. Obaseki swears in 38-year-old engineer as deputy. So swiftly right there, just having that one. And then above that list, story, Salah, low turnout at markets. Well, this Nigeria follows suit with a similar narrative. Edo, Obaseki finally knocks out Shaibu. In a predictable outcome, Assembly impeaches Deputy Governor on alleged gross misconduct. Ex-Deputy Governor vows to fight on in an emotional farewell broadcast. And then you have 38-year-old Omabaya Godwins takes over. And look at the image on the front page there. When the going was good. That's literally how the caption is this morning on the front page of this Nigeria. So there you go. That's politics. Game of interest, they say, isn't it? Blueprint, which also follows through with politics. 9 days to PDP neck. Fresh crisis hits party as 60 reps demand Damagum's sack. So who knows what will and how that will eventually turn out. Lots of focus on the impressions the Naira is making against the dollar. Long may that continue.
Amen. And I was going to say, the Umar says amen. Because, you know, yesterday I was just saying, oh, I have palpitations looking at what was being reported and how much our forex base had taken a hit as a result of the purchases we had to make. And we're wondering at what cost. But yesterday, the CBN decided to sell dollars to some BDCs. I think over 1,000 of them are eligible for $10,000 each. Yes, and they are going to sell at 1,101 naira. Beg your pardon. The CBN is selling to them at 1,101 naira, and they're not supposed to charge more than a 1.5% margin in profit. Now that means that, you know, the Naira is even gaining even further. and they are very, very. I imagine now that all BDCs are following the line. They are within the boundaries that have been set for them. So it'll be interesting to see what impact or what effect that will have on the naira.
In addition to that, yesterday those reports about banks lobbying the CBN to see how they could shift grounds a little bit on their recapitalization drive. So many are looking to see, will the CBN budge? Because what's that proverb again? The signs in the morning determines how they're going to proceed. So if they're going to be a stern regulator who says, listen, stick to the rules, stick to the rules, not business as usual, many will look to see, because they're trying to test grounds to see, let's try this CBN and see if it's all huff and puff. And so if it's all huff and puff, who knows? But I guess many will have their eye on this. And besides, they're also investigating some amount of what's that word again? Some monies, the claims about the $7.something trillion that they said we had backlog. So there's investigating some of them, saying some of these are not true. But let's find out, let's have concrete data. So when they do have that, I think it will have a lot of impact in what happens moving forward. So big deal it will be on what they decide. But in addition to all of these policies, above all else, manufacturing. We have to do something major about attending to our manufacturing base. Because if we don't do that, I don't want to be a pessimist, but the realistic thing is, if we don't do what we have to do, we'll get what we get.
A lot of people will say, well, we were currently in this situation because we consume more than we produce. I mean, a lot of the things that we consume are imported into our country. So we know that if we must make progress, one of the areas we must pay attention to will be manufacturing. And I think anything to get that particular sector going will certainly be very welcome. Some people have also said that this electricity tariff increase for Band A customers will negatively impact manufacturers. Now, it will be very interesting to get the perspective of manufacturers if they think that this is going to negatively impact them, especially if they're being guaranteed, will I say, at least a minimum of 20-hour supply. We should ask them, is that possible? Is that working already? What impacts is that going to have? Because at the end of the day, part of the argument is that this is going to be transferred to customers who are not on any band. Oh, I don't want to say bandless customers. Well, as long as they're not bandits.
Why do I feel like I know the answer? What you want to ask the manufacturers?
The manufacturers. Well, we'll wait to hear from them, because some people will say the alternatives are very expensive. They are even more expensive than the 225 naira being charged. But let's not forget, that 225 naira that is being bandied about does not include VAT. Oh yes, you still get to pay VAT, and sometimes another service charge could be included. So at the end of the day, that 225 naira could certainly be much more than what is on paper.
Yeah, they'll tell you, we have one of the best prices in Nigeria, in Africa, in the world. Oh, all of this. Well, have a look at what's coming up next.